Hi, the video I'm going to do today is about the 5 types of knife that I think you don't need perhaps, but I had a sort of goal in my head of 5 different purposes that I needed a good knife for, and I think I've got all those good knives now, so I'm just going to go over what they are and what the 5 purposes that I've particularly come across in terms of what I need or what I like to have and use on a semi-regular basis. So I've sort of broken it into categories, as you can see. I've got my EDC, and I've got 2 types. I've got my modest EDC and my practical. I've got a general survival knife, which is obviously multi-purpose. And then I've got my bushcraft or hobby knife, which is a specific purpose. And then I've got my large fixed, which is very much based in utility and practicality, bigger tasks. I'll just break it down a little bit more, and I'll go into what each of these mean with a bit of explanation. So you've got your modest EDC blade, for example. That's the first one. The ideal one that I've found for this purpose is a Falkneven U2. And the modest EDC category to me is something that is not in any way controversial to bring out in public. And those sorts of features, being aware of what people might see knives as, weapons and whatever, and penis extensions and things like that, and they might roll their eyes a bit. These are the sorts of knives that people really couldn't have a problem with. Anyone who's got a problem with a Falkneven U2 that is, as big as not even as big as my hand, sort of 4 inches long when it's fully open, I think they're a bit of a wowzer, and they're probably going to be offended by something else I'm doing anyway. Probably wearing a pair of shorts that show my legs or something too. So you can't please everyone, but this is the knife that you'd probably wear if you were going somewhere where you were worried about perhaps looking a bit too intense. With regard to your knife lust, so Falkneven U2, nice little convex ground, nice sort of standard black handle, goes well with most things, nail nick opening. So you'll be doing this in a bit more of a considered sort of slow way of use, and I think that's a good knife to start with. An alternative to that one, if you're not willing to sink $80 on that, is perhaps your standard Gerber LST. Again, just a lockback, sort of a bit like a modern take on everyone's grandpa's knife. Everyone remembers their people in their family having case knives or something like that. Yeah, it's opened like so and break out. So perhaps a cheaper alternative would be your Gerber LST there. This is the ultralight version. So that's sort of about the same size. Purpose. The next is your practical EDC knife. This is one you have in your pocket when you're around your home, when you go walking. This is your 60% of all use here is going to be just on this one knife, or this for me anyway. So for that I've got my Spyderco Delica, already reviewed. Fits in your hand well. You're not making any concessions with this knife. This is a knife you want to carry. It's your favourite one. I chose the Delica because I like flat ground knives. It's about the right price I wanted to spend. I want to spend about $100. The VG10 still is okay. I'm sure sometime in the next couple of years I'll probably upgrade it to perhaps a paramilitary 2, something that's a bit sharper steel. Maybe even ZDP 189, nice sharp, very seldom sharpening steel. But yeah, I'm really happy with my Delica so far. It's probably the most comfortable knife I've ever held. Just really swallows my hand up nicely, or my hand swallows it, either way. So that is my practical EDC knife, which is the one that put the most hours on. The only time I won't carry that is when I'm worried about upsetting someone, or just wearing some perhaps more formal clothes and just want something to roll around in the bottom. The next is my just general survival knife. So this is a Falkneven F1. I got the model with the Zytel sheath. And this is the blade when I go for a walk. This is the one that'll be on my belt, and it'll be just my go-to for everything. I chose this because I figure it's going to be a bit more of a hard user, and I know it's strange because people think I'll get a carbon steel, but I got this because it's stainless, and I do a fair bit of kayaking or river-based camp and adventure and things, and I just thought the stainless quality to it I know there's a bit of a trade-off with when you get a carbon steel blade with toughness, but apparently this is about as tough as you can get a stainless steel knife so far, just because of its laminated steel. I'll do a full review on it later, but yeah, I'm just quite happy with it. I just went for something. This is a 4-inch or so blade. I don't want something huge for my general or survival knife, just something that will do everything if it's pushed to do it, and comes razor sharp. Nice comfortable handle. I like the understated looks. I don't like my tactical knives. You notice none of these are tactical at all. I don't believe in that for a knife. I think the worst thing you can have in your hand when you're about to throw it down with someone is a knife, because you're probably the one that's going to end up getting stabbed with it. You'll fall on it or something. Because I don't know about you, but every fight I've ever seen or been in is two fellas maybe swinging twice and then grabbing each other and falling down. And the last thing you want involved in that is a knife. So just going as a general and survival, so this isn't for any sort of defensive purpose or perhaps against an animal, I don't know, but yeah, it's not really how I look at the world. So Falcon Even F1 is my general survival, and probably the second most important. I think if you only needed to have 2 of these knives, you'd get these 2, if you could only afford, if you're starting to buy knives or collect knives. Start with these 2, start with your main EDC and your general purpose camp and survival knife. The next knife is the Bushcrafter hobby knife, and this is something that we kept in the backpack. This is a high carbon steel. This is A2 carbon steel, so this will rust and mark, so it'll be more seldom used, but it'll be for when I want to sit down and do a bit of carving or do some other standard bushcrafty stuff where you're making your shelters. You know, rather than bringing your tent, you're going to put some logs together and carve some notches, make a pot stand. This is a knife because it's really super comfortable, super sharp. The Scandinavian grind is very nice to cut wood with. This is the Genesis by LT Wright, and it's a very nice knife. It's actually a bit bigger than the survival knife, but I think in terms of having a grind, the convex grind on this is going to be so much more durable than the Scandi grinds on that, so you'd be more inclined to want to do a bit more hard use on a convex, because a Scandi will roll, because this is what's called a 0 degree Scandi grind, so there is no micro bevel, so very sharp, but you could ruin it if you didn't use it properly. And the last, as you can see, is a large fixed, and this will be for when you don't want to have an axe, but you need to do some firewood prep. And I must say, I've mainly just used this around the home. I don't think I would hike with this. It is really heavy, and I think I prefer an axe to hike with. If you want to go without any of these knives, for me, it'd be the large fixed. I think if you're in a different climate, perhaps if you're somewhere that snowed a lot and you needed to do lots of splitting of wood, like battening through things, you want a nice long wide carbon steel blade like this. But in Australia, realistically, I want to build a fire. It's so damn hot here, I can just snap everything standing wood. Really, knives don't really factor much into firecraft here in Australia so far, unless you're going in winter and everything is actually wet, which in that case you would bring either this or an axe. Yeah, it's really not as big a consideration. It's why my survival knife doesn't have to be super long, because I'm not expecting it to go all the way across huge logs to be struck through. Okay, so there you have it. That's my 5-knife system, and I'm pretty happy with the ones I've settled on. I think it'd be more ideal having something like an SE Junglis or something, or a Hunglis or whatever they say, something that's a bit more knife-like. This is really just a big machete chopper thing. I'd still say it's a knife because it's made out of knife steel. This is 1095. Has sort of handles like a knife, and it's super thick, so definitely is on the edge of being one or the other. But as far as the whole collection goes, I look at this and I can't really think of another type of knife or another change that I'd make to it. I'm really happy with all the choices. I've got a couple of variations. I think for your survival knife or your general knife, you could probably go up to probably just use a neck knife, something like a larger neck knife, like this neck knife, like this Escobar. That's still big enough. This is 1095, so this is probably a tougher blade than the F1, but yeah, just neck knives I'm sort of struggling with a little bit of just the sheath and just having it around your neck, and very much in two minds. I put a bit of use on this, and I went as far as to get the handles because that was something that was bothering me. So a neck knife might be and this is a cheaper replacement if you want to get a quick and dirty survival knife. This will get this for about $60 Australian on eBay with a bit of postage. There's some other alternatives for your bushcraft or hobby knife, of course. Unless you're really serious about it, you may as well just get a Mora, because Moras have the same grind and they do exactly the same thing. Just as comfortable. They don't have the full tang, or you could probably use this as a one-fits-all survival knife, the LT Wright. As I said, the edges still are probably a little bit weak to do so, but and the bore is the same, I suppose, but not being full tang. There's a couple of idiosyncrasies about it that would make it not quite fit this category, but there you go. And in general survival, I mean, you could always get a Bear Grylls knife too. This one's a bit chintzy, but apparently the Pro version is actually quite good. So, and I actually put a razor sharp edge on this with the work sharp too, which was cool. Hasn't had that before ever. There you go. You notice I haven't included multi-tools. Small multi-tools can probably fit this modest EDC bracket as well. So say something like a Victorinox Cadet. People really seem to be fussed about multi-tools. Practical EDC, if you don't want to spend as much on a Delica, get yourself one of these great Leatherman knives. It's only 420 HC steel, but this is just a worker, this knife, and absolutely smashed it, and it's worked just perfectly for me. So, but I just upgraded to that one because I wanted a bit more of a looker. This is pretty generic, that's all, my only complaint. That's about all I've got to say. That's the board there. I think it's fairly simple. And thank you very much for watching. I'll see you later.